And welcome into View Golf. Dustin Ashby joined by Adam Frillman and Dr. Tobin Lingefelter. Gentlemen, the topic of today's show, pace of play in light of what we saw yesterday at Torrey Pines in the final round of the Farmers Insurance Open. These guys were playing 9 holes, the final 9 holes, in over 3 hours. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. Adam, what do you attribute the pace of play problem to on the PGA Tour?
Well, I think I'd have to attribute it to the fact that they don't enforce anything. I mean, obviously there are a lot of slow players out there because this happens more often than not. And it must just be they're not enforcing the rules. And it seems to be controversial when the rules officials do step in and try to get pace of play going, as we saw with Morgan Pressel on the LPGA Tour last year.
Well, it's so shocking for these guys because, to your point, unless they're playing in a U.S. Open, which is governed by the USGA, you don't see pace of play enforced. But Dr. Tobin, we see the residual effect week in, week out on the regular golf courses. You know, just across America, as amateur golfers take forever in essentially emulating what they see on the PGA Tour.
You're exactly right. You know, and the only thing it's going to do in the future is, you know, hurt golf as a whole. I mean, I think it even goes further than you know, the PGA Tour. You know, with the amount of prestige and money that's involved in this game right now, kids are growing up with their instructors probably starting to play slow then. And, you know, us weekend golfers and people that like to enjoy the game and, you know, just for fun, you know, we like to try to emulate our heroes, so to speak. And too many people are taking way too long to play a round of golf. And I think in the long run it's going to be detrimental to the game.
And now yesterday and over the weekend, they had 87 players make the cut, which the PGA Tour will tell you they aim for 70 players plus ties to make a cut on the weekend. And as a result, they had a very full golf course. But the issue came about because you had the second-to-last group there of Eric Compton and Steve Mario and I believe Brad Fritsch. They were playing so slow. They were easily a hole behind the group in front of them, which, of course, it was clearly you know, in the spotlight because you had your final pair in there of Tiger Woods, of course, leading the golf tournament, who was really unraveling down the stretch, standing out there and waiting before every shot. And Adam, he attributed his frustration to the pace of play. But it's not unlike most major championships you see on the weekend. They play extremely slow when things are on the line. And the players that had it on the line, Eric Compton and Steve Marino and Brad Fritsch, several of those guys, Compton and Fritsch specifically, they were playing to get a top 10. They had a lot on the line. As a result, they were taking it, I guess, just extra slow, extra cautious.
Well, I still attribute to the fact that the PGA Tour does nothing about this. These guys have all played fast at some point in time in their careers, and now that they're playing for millions of dollars and top tens, as you mentioned, they're taking extra time because I get it's very important. But if the PGA Tour doesn't step and do something severe and start punishing that guys and causing them to miss cuts, causing them to miss out on top tens because they're not following the rules that are set, this isn't going to change. These guys can play fast. They're choosing not to, and nobody's doing anything about it.
I think the most glaring moment for me, Dr. Tobin, on 17, Eric Compton, he had his tee shot way right. He had to get a ruling. He got the ruling, but before he actually, he could have taken the time as he was waiting for the ruling to start to assess how far away will I be. It wasn't until the official actually had his golf ball in place that Compton began to do his work and send his caddy forward to figure out what should his line of play be and so forth. And every weekend you see this, where a player will watch his playing partner putt, and then when it's his turn, begin to assess his line of putt, his distance, his break, and so forth. The right way to do it is to be able to, when your playing partner's playing, you can do so much work while they're still hitting their shot.
Yeah, you'd think that the Players Association would have some sort of remedial course for these guys. It's like when they get to a certain stature on the PGA Tour, all courtesy and you know, whatever, it goes out of the game at that level as far as pace of play. You know, we all do that when we play on the weekends or whatever. Even a member guest tournaments we play at. We're driving up to our ball. I got a pretty darn good idea what I'm going to hit before I even get there. And I'm not playing for $100 million like these guys are. So it's almost getting, I think I texted you a few weeks back, it's almost getting painful to watch this stuff on TV because they tee off and 30 minutes later they're putting out on the green on every hole.
That's exactly right. And it puts a bad name, I think, for golf because people realize it's already a hard game to play for many, but it can't take 5.5 hours on a weekend. And the PGA Tour has to be the role model here to be able to get the best players in the world around the golf course in 4 hours and 30 minutes. Dr. Tobin, Adam Frillman, thanks so much for your time. We'll catch up again real soon.
Thanks, Steve.